Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Let's Chat. And today I've got Nicholas Phelps joining us. Nicholas, how's it going?
How you doing? How you doing? Good, good.
All good. I can see you've got the same weather where you are. I was tempted to put the beanie on today, but I thought I'll go with a cap. Um, so Nicholas is, I suppose, the best way to describe you, and you can correct me, is an entrepreneur and a content creator. You can go check out his Instagram page or links and stuff, and you'll see. But Nicholas, just to get started, maybe share with us a few, or the one project that you're busy with now, the coffee business and that, and then maybe share with us how you got into that business.
So yeah, I've recently started a coffee company. It was about a year and a half to 2 years ago now. It's called Human Bean Coffee Co. And the reasoning behind that is we try to go for the more self-sufficient units in the sense of initial unit was running out of a tuk-tuk and the
Okay.
entire unit's fully self-sufficient. And that we would do at all the events, cycling events, motocross events, private hire events, corporates, you name it.
Okay.
So under that banner, that was quite good. Obviously, coronavirus hit that one for a six. So we couldn't keep going that way. One of our biggest things, luckily, in that sense, we developed our own blend, unique specialty blend.
Okay.
So that pushed us lockdown. So we went into home sales about 2 weeks before the South African lockdown, and just doing bean sales, home sales, that pushed us through the lockdown. And actually, fortunately enough, we one of the only companies, the small companies, to survive in the coffee industry. And yeah, I have to say things are turning around.
Okay, that's cool. So, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on this call is when we'll get into it just now, is your mindset and that, and I think you've just shown that right now by, a lot of people just laid back and just died a slow death, and with Corona and that, and a lot of guys got creative and changed rapidly their business model and changed the way they do business. It was either a sink or swim situation. And I think you probably experienced that in your industry now, is what you're saying, that a lot of the businesses sank. But it created opportunity for you, I guess. So, just on that note, actually, how did you, when you say you did a lot of home business, how did that work, or how did you guys change it, or just explain the process of the thinking and that of, okay, Corona hits, it's 3 weeks, and then 3 weeks later
Yeah.
it was 4 weeks, and then five, and we all went through it. What was the thinking behind all of that? If you can maybe just share that with us.
So initially, we wanted to get into the home sale industry, but there's a few. It's a massive industry, and it's quite
Okay.
saturated with really big branded names.
Yeah.
So to get into that, it's a niche market, but it's a niche market because we're doing the actual raw, not raw beans. It's the roasted beans, but you need to make it at home. So you either need to
Okay.
have the time or you need to have like you want to do it, the interest in doing it. And then
Yes.
obviously with the lockdown, then that brought the opportunity because people now they're finding they've got extra 6, 7 hours on their hands of doing nothing. So that's when they went and bought a French press or they did something different and they wanted to
Okay.
just change the way they drank coffee from the instant coffee to more of a in-depth coffee. It's not just a cup of coffee, I guess. So what happened was one of the first steps we took, and we were quite proud of it, my partner Tristan and I, was creating our own blend. So we wanted to not just sell coffee, we wanted to sell the coffee and be able to say, right, that in your hand is a human being cup of coffee. And out of the unit that we got, obviously it's sleek, it's modern, and quite a few people they were surprised when we put that across because a lot of small companies they would just do run of the mill single origins and buy blends from other people and then
Okay.
just sell it on. So there wasn't any depth to the company, and that's one of the biggest things that we want to build a brand. We don't want to do it for 1 or 2 years. We want to actually make a difference in the coffee game, I think.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, and that's another thing. All these links will be shared on this YouTube video and that. And I must say, one thing I was really impressed with is your. I don't know if you're doing it yourself or you got somebody doing it for you, but your branding. is pretty amazing, and yeah, I was well impressed with all of that. Um, I know that you also
Thank you.
do. I know that you also do motocross and stuff. So let me explain to everybody why I've got you on the call. I should have, I suppose, done that in the beginning, but let me explain. I got introduced by somebody else. Said I must connect with you, just to have a chat with you, in general. And what I picked up very quickly is your mindset and the way you view life. From if you want to talk motocross, you're living life flat out, with the throttle flat out. Is, I suppose, the best way to describe it. When I looked at all your content and had a chat with you on the motocross side, and that, maybe tell us just, you still riding motocross? I know you mentioned you went overseas and you rode a bit. Maybe tell us about that and how that all came about and what you're busy with there.
So the motocross backing. So obviously, I've been racing motocross since I was 6 years old, and I've got two younger brothers. Marcus is my middle
Okay.
brother, and Sebastian's my youngest. And
Okay.
we've all motocross is in our blood, I would say, dirt bikes.
Okay.
So that's obviously passed down from my granddad. He raced the Ironman TT. When
Okay.
he came, then he moved to South Africa with my dad and his fam. So through that, it was almost a no-brainer for us to get into that world. So through that, we started racing and been racing ever since, I should say. Myself and my middle brother Marcus, we moved over to the UK. We lived there for about 2-3 years, racing,
Okay.
doing all the big races. Started off with the arena cross. That's similar to motocross, but just super tight, technical, big jumps up corners and stuff. Then through that, we went on to the Red Bull Youth Cup Series, did that. And then from there, all of a sudden, we found ourselves in the States. It was quite a turn. We weren't expecting to go there, but I have to say it was one for the better. So myself and Marcus, we went and we raced in the USA, stayed down in Florida, and then
Okay.
from there we went up to Millsaps training facility, and we lived there for I lived there for about a year, and Marcus is still living there racing. Unfortunately, he's just torn his ACL in his knee.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so motocross, I have to say, it's been in my blood since 6 years old, and it almost becomes a lifestyle. You almost want to do, like you just said, everything flat out. You want to approach everything just with the ability to want to do it the biggest, the best. Just like that saying, just send it. And when it's in your blood and that's like the lifestyle, I find it becomes part of everything that I do. And yeah, it's exciting, but it is what it is, I guess.
And you're still riding now, right?
Yes, yeah. So currently, I'm working quite closely with a team, or
Okay.
not a team. It's a new motocross kit company called Flat Out Racing, and they launched about a year ago, but they almost doing a whole relaunch, and I'm working very closely with them to give them the feedback on the kit that they're looking for. They want to hear that the kit doesn't fit well. They want to hear all the negative things that people don't really want to tell them, but they need to hear to grow. And
Yes.
I feel like with them, it's been really good. And I've only been with them now for, I'd say, about a month, just under. And already things are looking really good content. And that's what I also want to do for them. And that's what they're using me for, is to create content for them to push the brand out there, get me talking about it, get people seeing.
Tell me the marketing and that. Do you do the marketing yourself, or do you have somebody that assists you with that, or
On my personal page and so
on
on.
your personal page, on the coffee business and all of that?
So through my personal page, yeah, that's all 100% me. Obviously, I work with quite a few photographers here and there just to get the content, but 90% of the time it is myself. Um, and then through the Human Being Coffee Instagram page and Facebook, we do have a resident photographer, Alvain, and
Okay.
he's really good at what he does. But the whole captions and the whole putting the photo together, the whole setting the scene, that's Trist and I. So we give the vision to him, he snaps it, and then we put the whole back working. So everything is in house, and I think no one will push a brand, no one will create the image that you envision. So we find it's best to do it ourselves. And, we're young, so might as well sleep when we're dead, I guess. Just carry on.
Yeah. All right, cool. So the motocross and that you're still riding, how was that affected with Corona and stuff like that? Was that also all the events shut down, or did you guys, or did it carry on?
So I have to say, so when I came back from the States, what happened was I got shied away from motocross quite a bit, just personally. I couldn't find the motivation to get out there.
When was that? How long ago was that?
I want to say the end of 2017, 2018. I'm not, yeah, 2018, I should say.
Okay,
And
cool.
just because what happened, training over there, it was very intense, very hard, and the tracks were prepped every single day. It was a different lifestyle, and if you were in that world was amazing. Coming to
Yes.
South Africa, you so overseas there you're setting up against 80 to 90 guys, and then you have to qualify to get to the main, and on the main there's 40 kids. Where here, not to say it's a different world, obviously, but
Yeah.
you're setting up against 25 kids at a national, 20, you know, and the intensity is there, but South Africa isn't built for that sort of thing. But it's turning around. It is definitely coming back. There's a few new faces bringing new life into the sport, which is quite amazing, and it's amazing to be in the world of it still, just from a different perspective.
Okay. Cool. Tell me when you were over there, just tell me the training and that you went through. I know motocross overseas is a whole, especially in America, and that it always has been. I mean, I come from the days where Greg Albertine, you guys probably never
Mm.
even heard of, or you might know of him. When Greg
Yeah, I've done quite
Albertine
a
just,
few training days with him. Actually, it
oh,
was
is
quite
it?
awesome. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I come from the days when Greg Albertine just, I think he won MX1 or whatever you call it in the Europe
yeah.
and that, and then he went to America. And even moving from Europe to America was a different ball game, just the level and the standard and stuff. So when you were there training and that, what kind of training prep work did you do and stuff like it? Was it every single day just physical training and riding just pretty much all?
So yeah, when it's like, I'm sure it's with any, if you're trying to be a professional athlete in any sport, you eat, sleep, breathe it. You do it day in, day out. You wake up. It's the only thing you can think about, and it's the only thing you want to think about because you want to be the best. You want to make it your life. So that's what it was. It was training. Obviously, it differed place to place and the different trainers we were with, but
Yeah.
general day out at Millsap's training facility was wake up in the morning, you would go stretch and roll, do a little bit of warm up. From there, you'd go into your track training, so on the bike for about 2-3 hours, and
Okay, cool.
then obviously get back in. You would, if you were lucky enough, you would have a mechanic, or you would just do all the bike work yourself, and then from there you would go straight into the gym, and then try obviously squeeze in a little bit of schoolwork where you can. I say that.
Yeah,
And then
right. Like 5.5 minutes.
yeah, you open the book and you close it
Yeah,
again.
okay, that's it. It's done.
But yeah, and then yeah, straight back yeah into the gym training, and then dinner, and then next minute you're asleep, ready for the next day.
Tell me, did you go over there as like what, I don't know if they still call it that, but like a privateer, or did you get sponsored to go across?
So yeah, so in the all the adventures that we've done, so into Europe, we were privateers. Obviously, got picked up by a team called PNH there, rode for
Okay.
them, and then it was obviously cool. But then that didn't translate into America, so that was a whole separate venture. And then there, we were working quite closely with a team called WMR, a race shop called WMR, and
Okay.
Nihilo Concepts. So that was quite cool. And from there, when we left them to go to Millsap's training facility, that was a whole separate venture. And personally, I've never been a part of a big enough team where they like, here's a bike, here's kit, here's everything you need. You just rock up at the race and race. But
Yes.
I've had multiple individual sponsors, which has made it a lot easier.
Okay. On the training side and that, because the reason why I was asking about the privateer and that, because that if you're going there to race and stuff, that obviously plays a massive psychological game on you. If you want to make it there, there's no there's serious pressure because you're going there on your own wallet basically, which is very different
Yeah.
to when you're getting sponsored and that. When you were there training, I want to get into the mindset side of things. Is there anything specific that you used to do before races from a mindset perspective, or that you used to do to prepare yourself mentally?
I think one of the biggest things is obviously in the race, it's obviously getting that whole shot, and that's getting around the corner first. Because
Yes.
if you can do that, touch wood, if you're not fit enough, you'll drop back 1 or 2, 3 positions, but it's better than getting a mid-pack start and then dropping all the way to the back. So
Yes.
one of my biggest things was just like visualizing that whole shot, getting around that corner first. And yeah, at the end of the day, I would rip quite a few whole shots, I have to say.
No, that's cool, and that was going to be actually lead on to my next question, which I was going to ask you: do you use visualization? Because a lot of the guys do use it before the race, or at least preparing and stuff like that. So you do. Tell me about when you say visualization. What is visualization for you?
So one of my biggest things was it was just bringing yourself to the exact moment that you are in, and
Okay.
then just slowing your whole environment and everything down. Like, but personally, so there can be people walking past, but just bringing yourself to the exact moment that you're in, and then almost going within and then visualizing the race as you are. You can be sitting in Times Square and just in visualizing the race. So watching that gate drop. As soon as that gate drops, then pushing through that first corner, getting on the first corner, doing a lap, like remembering, because obviously you've ridden the track before, so
Yes.
remembering where the lines almost form and almost putting yourself in the position of being in the race. And for me, that actually worked quite a lot, and it helped me come to the moment. And then from that moment, you know where to put yourself, like in the sense of if you need to be aggressive the first couple laps, who you racing against, because you know how they race, you raced them before. So
Yes.
I think visualization personally, I still use it throughout my life now. And it's one of the biggest things that just helps you bring yourself to the exact moment that you're in and then take it from there outwards.
Yeah, that's okay. No, that's cool. So, yeah, what I wanted to ask you is, do you use visualization in your business, in like running your business? Like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what, and try. I mean, it's very difficult to plan it out because it's not a racetrack that you're going around that you know. But do you use it at all in your business? From a visualization perspective.
So I think one of the biggest things that I do find quite helpful is obviously having a partner. And Trist, we on different wavelengths, but we on the same at the same time. It's quite weird because I would be thinking about something and then he would know exactly what I'm thinking about and put it into play. And then I'm like, no way, we were about to chat about this or do something, and it would come together. So being able to visualize it, but also having someone there to have your back to push it through and have the same vision about it, maybe from a different perspective, but the same goal. I think that's one of the biggest things. And obviously, you can't visualize, okay, A, B, C is going to do and it's going to work, but you visualize the end goal and then having two minds to go to the same goal. I think, yeah, it seems to be working quite well, I have to say.
Oh, that's awesome, Bud, what you just shared there now. So just to take you a step back, it's actually not. I know we think it's weird when when you're in sync or whatever. It's called being on this, I think you mentioned in the same wavelengths. But there's actually science behind that, or we won't go into it now. But there's actually a science behind the wavelength that they're talking about. So it's actually there is science behind it. It's not just some airy fairy thing.
Yeah. Wow.
But that's pretty cool, and that's why there's always these limiting beliefs where people go, I still come from old school a little bit where they, a partnership is a sinking ship and all that bullshit. But in actual fact, if you look at some of the best things that have happened, they've happened with partnerships because you are definitely much stronger as a team, two people or three people bouncing off and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting that you mentioned that because I think a lot of times in business, people want to go and do it on their own. The thing is, if you can work with somebody else, you can build a lot quicker and stronger and faster than trying to do it on your ace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's quite
And
interesting that you shared it.
that's one of the biggest things, because what I've learned now is, obviously throughout my whole motocross career, my family's been there and they've backed me, my mom especially and my dad. So
Okay.
it's been a very, when you race, you on that start line on your own. Obviously, your folks are with you, your mechanics with you just before the gate drops. But as soon as that gate drops, you on your own. You pushing it yourself. You need to self motivate, because it's really easy to say, okay, no, I don't feel like doing it anymore, pulling off. Until you get back to the pit, no one's going to say anything to you. So it's been a really self motivating life. But then as soon as you realize that, or you get put in a position where you do have that second brain or that second mind, that second sense of full-time motivation, then it's a different world. It's completely different.
Yeah. Tell me, I wanted to ask you also, as an entrepreneur, and you sort of answered some of it now, but as an entrepreneur, it can be, people don't realize how mentally challenging it is to be an entrepreneur because you have to, exactly what you said now, self-motivate yourself. You have to create persistence in yourself, unless you got some people, good people around you, but they're not, you still got to do it yourself,
Yeah,
no offense to anybody that's got a day job, but a day job has its other challenges, but a day job can be, you get to work, you have to think, it's pretty straightforward in a way. Again, not taking anything away from somebody that's got a job, but specifically as an entrepreneur, it can be very difficult sometimes when everything goes wrong, and we've had those days that you just like, I mean, it's just nothing's going right.
yeah.
Those days, what do you do those days to keep yourself going? To wake up the next day and keep going, because it's just a persistence game now.
I think one of my biggest things is, and it is a dangerous way to look at things, but it is what it is. So unless, if you can't fix it, it is what it is. But one of the biggest things, and Tristan actually mentioned this the other day, if you're an entrepreneur, you're almost like a firefighter. You're always looking for a fire to put out. And obviously, the more fires you have, it could be in the sense of you doing something right because you've grown and now there's more fires to put out. You've got more buildings, and now in each building there's a little fire, little fire, little fire. Or it could be in the sense of you it could be in the sense of that just things aren't working. So
Yes.
so in the sense of, if something's not working out, I think you just need to brainstorm and just push yourself, not push yourself, but bring yourself back to realization that it could be a massive problem, or there could just be a simple solution. So there's no point over stressing about it, or like exploding it a lot bigger. Just
Yeah.
take a step back. And that's one of the things that I like to do, is look at it from a different point of perspective. Like, it's easy to look at it like there's a problem in front of me, but why don't you think outside the box and be like, okay, it's not a problem, it's actually a solution for this problem that we are having. So there's different ways of looking at things, and I think if you can't take yourself outside the box and look at it from a different perspective, then you're going to be staring at that wall for quite a time.
But yeah, that's awesome what you shared now. So as an entrepreneur, you actually, what you're looking for, you actually want the problems, you want the fires, because the more fires you can learn to find solutions for, the more successful typically you're going to become, because entrepreneurs become successful by solving problems, finding the problems and then solving it. So what you're saying is awesome, yeah. So the fighting the fires or whatever, or finding those problems. If you look at it, it's perception. If you look at it from a different set
Yeah.
of eyes of shit's going wrong, but at the end of the day, this is an opportunity. Where there's
Yeah.
problems, there's opportunity.
And at the end of the day, if you deal with 100 problems, then the problem 9 times out of 10 will come up again. But now you've dealt with it, you looked at it from a different perspective, it comes up again. You say, no, this isn't a problem. This gets solved like this, X, Y, and Z, done. Takes 2 seconds instead of blowing it out the water, digging a
Yes.
hole deeper, and then now it comes up again in a different form, but it's the same problem. You don't know how to deal with it.
Yes. No, that's awesome. I wanted to ask if you can maybe just sort of in closing, we're sort of getting to the end of time here, and just in closing, can you give maybe struggling guys that are just started a business, entrepreneurs and that, can you maybe give 1 or 2 tips for somebody that's might be struggling or was just starting a business themselves?
I just think at the end of the day, I like to look at it in the sense of your worst day might be your best day. So even if you're having your worst day in business, you only do 2 sales or something. 2 weeks later, those 2 sales might be your best day you've had in those 2 weeks. So you might be like, it's a shit day, but then
Yes.
2 weeks later, you've only sold 1 cup a day or whatever it is. So just focus on the positives. Just keep bouncing off the positives and positive. I personally am a big believer in energy, and positive vibes bring positive vibes. Like,
100%.
it's unreal. If you look at the positive in life, your life will be positive.
No, that's awesome, bud.
Yeah.
I fully agree with you. Thank you so much. So, what's the best way? Because a lot of people are more active on different platforms. I think yours is Instagram more than any of the others. What's the best way if people want to connect with you, especially on the coffee side, the coffee business and that? What's the best way to connect with you?
So my personal page account is Nicholas Phelps 5. Sorry, Nick Phelps 5 at Gmail. My Instagram is Nick Phelps 5, Nick Phelps 136,
Okay.
and then obviously my human being
So,
account is human
so it's
being
so it's
coffee shop.
Instagram, right? It's the best place to connect with you.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would
cool.
say
So,
Instagram would be the best.
okay. No, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is, guys, is if you're watching YouTube, it'll be at the bottom of this video. I'm going to get all the handles, the Instagram handles and URLs and stuff from Nick, and I will put them in there. So if you want to connect with Nick about the coffee business or anything like that, just go. Besides anything else, just go check his content out. He's got some borderline fucking crazy shit, but it's entertaining. Okay. But the coffee side and that's really cool stuff that you got there,
Thank you.
content and stuff like that. And so I'll leave those links down at the bottom. Connect with Nick like that. And then also don't forget to subscribe to this channel to be notified for the next interviews and stuff like that. So, Nick, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank
Have an
you.
awesome weekend there. Cheers, bud.
Cheers.